First story of the day, we got Bernie. So Bernie Sanders, he went on Chris Hayes' show on MSNBC, and he had some very interesting comments to make about Biden and what that presidency may look like, and probably will look like. Now the race is looking like Biden's about to clean slate across the country. So, but Bernie has some very interesting things to say. Go ahead and check it out, then we'll discuss.
I was glad to work with the vice president in forming 6 separate task forces, which had some of the most knowledgeable people in the country coming together to deal with education and climate change and healthcare and the economy and criminal justice and immigration reform. And these folks, needless to say, people who represented the progressive movement had a different perspective on things than did Biden's people. But there was serious discussion and I think a real honest effort to come up with a compromise. And I think the compromise that they came up with, if implemented, will make Biden the most progressive president since FDR. It did not have, needless to say, everything that I wanted, didn't have everything that Biden wanted. But there is no question that on some of the major issues facing this country, if that agenda is implemented, life will improve for tens and tens of millions of working people. It'll improve for our environment and for climate change, criminal justice, and for the needs of low-income people.
Senator Bernie.
I love Bernie, man. I love him to death. He's the reason I'm doing this show right now. This is the reason that I'm talking to y'all on this goddamn screen. Bernie is the reason. He's an inspiration to me, and he has been ever since I entered politics. I want to put that out there, man. I have nothing but respect for the guy, and I do believe comments like this, he is coming from a genuine place. He's like, I genuinely believe this is the best outcome, that this is the best we can do with this situation, and that I'm trying to do my best as Bernie Sanders to enact, as he said, real change for tens of millions of people, make a market difference and save lives. I get that, okay? But those comments to me, they're insulting. They're insulting. These task forces in their very existence to me was insulting, ridiculous. Because before we even get into what these task forces did and what the policy recommendations were, they were empty. They were just little promises on a sheet, recommendations that they may or may not enact to the party agenda and the Biden's agenda and then move forward to the White House, where he's already said to the Wall Street donors, to the people whose opinions really matter, the people funding his campaign, he already said nothing will fundamentally change. Wall Street's already out here saying, from the words of J.P. Morgan recently, not J.P. Morgan, the actual dude, Chase, the bank, and then the financial consulting agencies surrounding them, they're all saying, there's plenty of articles about this. This isn't just me. They're saying Biden's presidency is a safe option. It's a safe bet. We're good. Futures are looking good for business. Skippity doodly loo da. This is literally what Wall Street's saying. He told them nothing will fundamentally change. So the idea that these task forces are really going to make a market difference with these policy recommendations, Bernie, I need you to stop. Don't insult me. Don't insult my intelligence. Don't insult this movement's intelligence. Don't insult our will to fight for progressive change. Okay? You led this movement. You created this movement. You helped spark this movement. Now it just feels like you're slapping us, dude. This is the nuance to it. You can support Biden, as I now do. You can support him and say, I'm going to vote for the guy. We got to get Trump out of office. Blah, blah, blah. Without going back completely on your principles and not calling him out and saying we must hold Biden accountable. Okay, so let's dive into what the task force outcomes were. Okay, there's tuition-free college for most families. That's one of the recommendations. Not universal, but for most families. They're trying to say we're going to go carbon neutral by 2035 as the United States. Okay, they're saying we're going to expand the Affordable Care Act, not even a public option. We're still leaving millions of people uninsured. We're going to expand the Affordable Care Act. Biden was very adamant about that. What was not on these task force recommendations? So that's already concession after concession, compromise after compromise. That's already millions of people's lives that these recommendations aren't hitting. Okay. Then we're going into no Medicare for all, no Green New Deal, right? No legalizing marijuana. That's basic stuff. The policies I just named are overwhelmingly popular. Medicare for all is overwhelmingly popular. The tenets of the Green New Deal, overwhelmingly popular, right? Legalizing weed, overwhelmingly popular. That's basic stuff that states and cities across the country are already enacting. We couldn't even get that out of the tax forces. But you're talking about how this is transformative change. This will make him the most progressive president since FDR. Stop. Please don't say that. That's insulting. We know Joe Biden will be the most progressive president since FDR. He said to the donors, nothing will fundamentally change. Don't lie. You don't have to lie and go back on all your principles and all your backbone as a progressive and still support him. You don't have to do that. You can support him without going back on your principles and insulting your movement. You don't have to do that, Bernie. You don't have to lie, dude. It's insulting. As I said, man, you can be anti-Trump and say, I'm going to reluctantly vote for Joe Biden, and all of you should as well, without making bold-faced claims and bold-faced lies. Saying this guy's going to be the most progressive president since FDR if he enacts these policies. He won't, though. You should say that. You should put in the important caveat, yes, Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in modern history, but also say, as a rallying cry to your supporters who are following with you and view you as an inspiration, people like me, you should at least be able to say to us, we still have to hold Joe Biden accountable because this guy is a corrupt neoliberal hack. And yes, he is better and can handle basic governing and can drive us back from the cliff. But we still have a major political fight that we need to have with him and his ideology and the people who are following him in Congress. Because he is the problem and we are the solution. You have to be able to say that, Bernie. You should say that. But it's all good because if you're not going to say it, I will. People across the progressive aisle are going to say it. I'm not going to be sitting out here trying to scream into this microphone that this just lies, baseless lies that Joe Biden's going to be the most progressive president since FDR, even if he enacts these recommendations. Because yes, maybe he would if he did, but he's not going to. Wall Street's already saying we are very comfortable with the Joe Biden presidency because he told them nothing will fundamentally change. You can look at this guy's record. You can look at the votes for the war in Iraq, the bankruptcy bill. You can look at the fact that he tried to cut Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare 4 times all throughout his career, even back in the 2000s, not that long ago. I was born, I was around. This guy is not a progressive. He's a corrupt neoliberal, sold out to the big banks, sold out to the military industrial complex. This guy is a foreign policy hawk who will still spend trillions of dollars in ridiculous engagements overseas. We don't have to act like this guy wrote the crime bill, wrote the bankruptcy bill. Why are we acting like this guy is going to enact some major progressive change? No. The only reason we're voting for him is because we are trying to save lives and drive us back from the cliff. Because right now we're in one of the most unprecedented moments in American history, and we need to not have a deranged madman at the wheel. That's the only reason I'm supporting this guy. And I'm doing it vomiting in my mouth at the same time. This is a terrible moment. It's a scary moment. And it's a moment that requires progressive leadership. It's a moment that requires progressive backbone. You should not be out here, Bernie Sanders, as the face of our movement, defacing us, lying to us, insulting us by saying that this guy who you just waged a primary fight against and is a corrupt neoliberal hack, that he's going to be the most progressive president since FDR if he enacts these changes. He won't, Bernie, and you know that. You're not stupid. But he genuinely believes he's making a real difference by saying these comments. I don't agree. You don't have to follow in lockstep with this guy and completely bend the knee and still be anti-Trump. You can be anti-Trump while also holding on to your principles and putting out a rallying cry to your supporters saying, we still have to support progressive change fully and wholeheartedly because this is the moment for it. Dude, there's an eviction crisis looming over our heads right now. The Republicans aren't going to extend the $600 unemployment benefits. They're not going to do it. That means that millions of people are going to be sitting out on their ass in a couple of months. Dude, people are going to be kicked out of their homes. There's a jobs crisis. The virus is killing hundreds of thousands of people across the globe and here in the United States. We need progressive reform. We need Medicare for all. We need the health system to have a serious, efficient system in place. We need a UBI so that people are not kicked out and don't have a roof over their head. This is the reality. We need leadership, but we need progressive change and progressive leadership. And Bernie's just bending the knee. It's a disgrace, man. It genuinely pisses me off. So as I said, man, now is not the time to abandon our progressive principles. Now is the time to to double down and to make it known that this is where we stand and that the rest of the country stands a great chance of benefiting if you listen to us, the progressives. We are calling for real change. We're calling for a UBI, Medicare for all. We're calling for saving lives. Joe Biden has a market change and a market difference. The only reason we're voting for the guy. But make clear your position. We want progressive change. So if Bernie's not going to do it, the rest of us have to, man. So please don't fall in line with this stuff. Don't act like Joe Biden's going to beat FDR. Of course he's not. Let's call him out. But also, you still got to vote for his ass because Trump is crazy. There's a nuance there. Bernie's just completely neglecting it. It's a shame. So if he's not going to do it, we fucking have to, plain and simple.
Yeah, we ride it.